The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 10, New Best Friends. I think this was an interesting episode where we get to see Rick and his small group as they go after Gabriel, and they find out that he was taken by this new group that doesn't really have a name. They're just a bunch of really weird people. Like, it started off, it was like, okay, first off, at the end of the last episode, they come in as like a crazy swarm. It's like, yeah, you'll probably take out a couple of us, which we see would probably have been most of those people because none of them could fight against like the 5 people that went to look for Gabriel, because each of Rick's group took out at least one person when they showed them. Everybody was like, either they countered somebody and threw them away, or they just punched somebody and knocked them out. And it was like, yeah, they would have taken out probably like 10 people in total, if not more than that, just the 5 of them, at least 2 apiece. So it was like, yeah, it makes sense now why they kind of come in numbers, and of course you need weapons. But in regards to that, once they have all the guns, you don't really need people to train to fight. Once they can shoot from really far away, it's much easier. So, and plus those are all a bunch of random characters. They'll either, stay in the background and shoot from afar, or they'll get sent in first and I'll get killed off, and it won't make a difference because we don't know anybody. But I like the way it played out. We get to see them meet these people who, like I said, are super weird. The woman, Jadis is her name. The way she speaks is really odd. Like, that's the weird thing about her. Like, she speaks in like half sentences, or she's so straight to the point, it's a little odd. It's like, she doesn't just say like, I need guns or we need guns. It's just guns now. And then like at the very end, the older guy is like, guns now or else. And then they just walk off, and it's like, they look really weird and they sound really weird. Well, it's not that they look weird. Everybody's just dressed all bummy, but they just definitely sound weird. It's just very odd the way that they portray these characters, and it's very interesting. I did like it personally. My girlfriend hated it, but I personally thought it was interesting. I was like, it's very weird, but I kind of like that it's weird because they're getting into just some crazier aspects, especially heading into some of the stuff they're heading into with the Saviors and them planning for a war and trying to get new people and stuff like that. There's a lot to that, and based on the comics, there's a lot of insanity, so you gotta have some crazy elements there. They're doing some stuff that's not within the comics, which I really like, of course, just to have something new. It's not exactly the comic book, so I'm definitely liking this new group, and there's a lot to them, and they could lead to some other stuff. I doubt they'll do that, but there's something that they could do that could totally lead them into something else, but I doubt it'll go that route. I think it's just its own thing. But I definitely like them. They're really weird. I don't know what they're going to do with this Jadis character, because from what I recall, she's not a character from the comics, so this is, all brand new stuff. But I like what they do with them just because they're so weird. And it's like, alright, they make this interesting deal with Rick where she's like, we get half the stuff and he says a third, and they go back and forth. And ultimately, Rick, I think, comes out on top. He's able to keep his agreement to everyone else. They get a third for, joining in. I think the other, like the Kingdom and the Hilltop, will be able to agree to that. And then they're able to keep half of what they stole from Rick and the group, which they were waiting. We find out that the whole time they were just waiting for someone to get the stuff off of the boat. And as she says, we don't bother, we take, which I thought was very interesting, because it's more that they don't bother the dead than the living. And I thought that was very interesting, the way she kind of said it that way. It was like, we don't bother, we take. And I was like, if you reverse that, maybe that would make a little bit more sense. Like, they take, well, either way, they're bothering people. They're, if it was more about the dead, that would make sense. But I was like, that's interesting that they don't bother the dead. That's mostly so that they can survive, but they'll steal from anyone else. So it was interesting the way that they, the way they set up their own rules in order to get what they need. But like I said, very, very odd group of characters. I don't know if we'll get to really learn more about the other kind of higher ups underneath Jadis, because we have her. I don't remember any of their names because they're all like really weird names. So it's not just like me. Normally I suck with names, but they all have like really unique names that I've like never heard before. And I was like, it's not gonna work for me. It's gonna be hard. But Jadis is the only one I can remember, just because it's close to Jade. And then there was the woman who seemed to be like her lieutenant a little bit. She was like the one that Gabriel puts the knife to. She seemed to be the one to really kick things off, at least vocally speaking, until Jadis actually came in. So I don't know if she's actually that important, but they made her important because she's had a speaking role. So it's her, Jadis, the older man, and then I believe there's one other female character as well that actually didn't speak in this episode. So I'm assuming those are going to be like our four main people from this new group, which may or may not get a name. I don't know, like trash people, something. I don't know, but they're interesting, and I like what we got to see from them in this episode. Them dumping Rick into the crazy pit with like the spike walker and stuff. Very cool. I'm very curious how they were even able to pull that off. Maybe they did it when the guy, as the guy was dying, because the helmet part, I was like, how'd they manage to pull that one off? So it's very interesting. And also they talk about they do it to kind of prove whether or not people are worthy, and I'm like, that's such an unfair, insane test that it doesn't even make sense to prove whether or not somebody is worthy. It's like you got basically a freaking minefield, walking minefield coming at you with knives sticking out of every single part. Plus the head is completely protected, so like you have to go underneath, which you have to have a perfect situation for that. And fortunately for Rick, Michonne was there, and they really played off the teamwork dynamic of how not just Rick can get anything done, like Gabriel said, but the team as a whole can get anything done. Because if it weren't for Michonne, Rick probably wouldn't have come up with that. He was like, the first thing he does, of course, is like, what the F do I do here? He blocks it from actually getting to him, but it stabs him like straight through the hand. And so when he pushes it back, I think he kicks it, and that's when he gets the cut. And then Michonne's like, use the walls, so he like pulls big pieces of garbage out of it. I think it looked like he pulled out like a freaking typewriter or something huge. I don't know what that thing was, but it brings a bunch of trash down, and then he's able to pull something else, and it brings more trash down on the walker, and then he decapitates it. So I was like, all right, that was really good teamwork, and it proved that it wasn't just Rick that can do anything. Like I said, it was the team that can get stuff done. So thought that was very cool. I actually liked the moment with Rick and Gabriel where Gabriel was like, I was kind of losing faith, but then there was a moment where you nodded at me, and that's when I realized you knew that I didn't just take everything and left. And I thought that was cool. And he officially explains it like, yeah, I heard something within the walls at night, and that's why he left his post. And so of course when he went in there, he ran into the person. That's what the loud crash noise was, and it was very interesting. And they actually kind of show that a little bit. It kind of goes together in the last episode. I completely missed it in the beginning, but when he's driving off, the person that basically beat him up and forced him to take the food was in the car. Like, I didn't notice that because it's a dark scene. I completely missed that like half a second moment where they like lean up. But when I watched the episode the second time with my girlfriend, she noticed it like as soon as it happened. I was like, I completely missed that the first time. So it was cool. I don't know how many people missed that scene. I'm very curious how many people may have missed that shot during that moment. But I completely missed it when I first watched the episode. So it was cool that they actually had the official explanation. Although it became obvious once he got captured. It was like, okay, the big crashing noise makes 100% more sense now. It wasn't like, I'm going to steal stuff. And then he just suddenly like crashed into things as he was pulling them off the shelves. So it made a lot more sense. The part where he says, like, I'm just making sure, it makes sense that he'd say that out loud because he was talking to someone else. So I like that they did that, just for people that may not have noticed that scene if they didn't watch the episode twice like I ended up doing. I think it was cool that they officially had him explain everything, which makes a ton of sense, where he's just like, yeah, this is actually what happened. Because I'd be super curious too. I'd have to ask, if we came to find you, I'd be like, I assume that you got captured, but how exactly did all of that play out? Like, where'd you get captured? Stuff like that. I'd have those questions. So it was cool that they explained it, because it was just a logical thing. Like, you probably wonder what happened. I'm just going to tell you. So like that portion. Love what Rick said about why he smiled. He was like, someone once showed me that enemies can become friends. And I was like, that was actually a really cool moment. And, they kind of have a little bonding moment there. And it's like, all right, they work together. They've worked through their crazy issues that they've had in the past. He knows for sure. Like, he didn't believe it in the last episode anyway, that Gabriel just betrayed them instantly, again, kind of out of nowhere. So it was cool. Like, he just believed in him anyway. But it was a nice little moment. A less nice moment was Rosita. She's starting to get on my nerves now. I mean, I was cool with her before, and I kind of wish it was like this from the very beginning, and it would make more sense. But it seems like out of nowhere, she's like super vile to everybody. It's like, she even says like in this episode, like, if we have to steal from other people to get this stuff done, I don't care. And that part I kind of get, but she's like snapping at everybody. She was snapping in the last episode at Sasha, like, why are you telling me this? We just boned the same dead guy, doesn't make us friends. And in this episode, she's snapping at people, and I'm just like, what is her deal? It seems like it's coming out of nowhere, and that's the issue for me, because in the beginning, it wasn't like that. Like, she didn't start off losing it. You know, like, after Abraham first got killed, she didn't instantly go into, like, an aggressive sort of rage mode. It seemed like that didn't happen until the season, like, picked up again. Like, I feel like that's where it suddenly started. And it was a little bit, in the mid-season finale, but in that it even made sense to me, because she was yelling, I personally felt, at the right person, because he's like, oh, well, we're just going to give them all the weapons, and, you know, he's trying to take over, well, he was kind of trying to take over for Rick a little, and I was like, it makes sense that she'd be mad at him, because he's kind of a douchebag, and I was like, that is completely logical. She's mad at the Savior, she's mad at him for just being like, it's all Rick's fault, there's nothing we can do except give all our stuff to the Saviors, and I was like, that makes perfect sense. Everybody, you know, that she was kind of talking to was seemingly giving up, and she's like, we need to make this work. And then it seemed like after she failed to kill Negan that one time, that was it, and she just snaps on everybody out of nowhere to me, and I'm like, this just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Like, she had a focused rage, and I was like, yep, that makes perfect sense. She'd be mad at this guy because he killed the person that she cared for, even if it was a while ago, and plus they killed another good friend of theirs. So this dude is nuts, I want to kill him. Narrow-minded focus, all angry focused on Negan. Right after that, she failed to do it, and now it's just like she's snapping on anyone and everyone, and I'm like, I'm starting to get tired of her, and it just, you know, they did in the last episode, and then this one, I was just like, man, she is really snapping on everybody for no good reason, and it just really bugged me. I was like, man, I don't know, they're just not, I feel like they're not doing a great job with her rage anymore. After failing to kill Negan the first time, it's almost like she gave up on that, and now she's just mad 100%. I'm like, that just doesn't really work to me. It just seems like it's out of nowhere, because it changed after she failed once, and now she's just mad. So that's bugging me at this point. I hope they change it and it goes kind of back towards that focus of she's mad specifically at Negan, who's the right person to be mad at, instead of just being mad and then snapping on all her friends who are like trying to do the same stuff as her. But we'll see where they go with that. That just really bugged me, because it was 2 times in a row. I'm like, why is she snapping on people as if everybody isn't mad right now? And it really got to me in this episode, because I was like, she's just out of nowhere getting mad again. So that bugged me. Wanted to really bring that up. But other than that, really enjoyed this episode. I think the storyline was good. You know, we get to see what they do. We have the other side of the story in this episode with the Kingdom and Daryl, and he actually finds Carol and stuff. Of course, the emotional reunion of that, and he lies to her about everything being okay. And I wasn't surprised that he did that, because he cares for her. Like, the relationship that they have in this series, I wasn't surprised at all. I also won't be surprised in like 4 episodes when she does find out the truth, because that's just gonna happen. We know somehow the Saviors are gonna be like, you know what, we're tired of you, and they're gonna decide to go into the Kingdom, and they'll go to the house or whatever, and certain things are going to come up. Like, I just know that that's what's going to happen. It might not be that exact way, but we know she's going to figure out the truth. Things are just going to get too chaotic. She'll either need to be brought into it, or it'll just happen as the Saviors happen to run past her or whatever. She's going to find out somehow. So I think we all know that, but for now, it's being kept hidden, and she's able to kind of stay in her secluded area, and Morgan and Daryl have to figure out how to kind of convince Ezekiel that they need to team up to fight the Saviors, and Morgan doesn't really want to do it. He's gone back to his pacifist ways, and I don't know, he's bugging me, not as much as Rosita, because at least he's always been that way. He switched for a split second to save Carol, and then it's like, you know, he hasn't been confronted with it again. I'm curious how they're going to play with that kind of spectrum for him now, because Daryl doesn't say it outright, but I think this is what he was talking about. But Morgan killed a dude, and it's like, it's done now. Like, you aren't that pacifist dude anymore. You killed that guy, and I know you want to switch back because that was like that one defining moment, but still, it just happened, and you totally did it. You technically didn't have to, but you did to save someone else. And this is the same thing, but he also did the same thing with the wolf, so it's really impossible to tell where he's going to go on this wavy spectrum he's got. But I'm curious how it's going to play out, because I do think at some point he's going to get pushed. And then he kind of got pushed in this episode. Like, I don't think he even realizes that he's going back towards that. Because when the other dude had the gun on him, Richard, he hit the gun out of the Savior's hand, and of course that was about to set off a very bad chain reaction. But he knocked the gun straight out of his hand, and there was about to be chaos, and he would have beat that guy up for sure. And I almost guarantee the next time they meet, that guy's gonna have that stake just to taunt him. And considering the path of this episode, things might not go too well for that guy next time around. I think Richard might just be like, all right, he's officially done. I'm real tired of him. So we'll see how it plays out. But I like the Kingdom side of the storyline. For whatever reason, Daryl decides I'm going to go to the hilltop. I think that's real dumb. I guess he's just really upset that Morgan isn't really on his side. He found Carol. He can't really tell her the truth. Doesn't want to hurt her, and he knows Ezekiel doesn't really want to get involved because they have the deal that they have already. So I guess he's just mad, and so he's like, I'm out, and he's taking a very dumb journey to a place where he can easily be seen again. But we'll see what happens there, because I don't know how many episodes we got, but the next one seems to mostly focus on the Saviors, and we get to see what happens with Eugene and kind of the internal emotions of the Saviors, and mostly Negan being super pissed off and Dwight being super pissed off. I don't know what his deal is with Daryl. It's like he wants to be him. I don't know. But he's flipping out and stuff, and he hates Negan, obviously, and stuff with his wife, the moments that they keep having in these episodes. So I don't know where we're headed. Not exactly, but they dropped some pretty big hints. Of course, we got this new group joining the team. Of course, they reference the sort of the seaside community with all the ladies, where it's like, oh, you've been out further than any of us. You can tell us where not to go. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, So of course we're going to be headed back there pretty soon, and just certain lies being told to Carol, and of course the truth coming out eventually about that. But ultimately, I really enjoyed this episode. I think I actually like this one more than I like the last one, because there was some tension to it. Of course, the crazy Spike, minefield walker, that was definitely cool. And just the way certain elements played out, characters finally getting to see each other, characters making certain agreements like Daryl and Richard, and then that falls apart when he realizes that it's Carol who is going to be kind of, the bait and stuff. So I like the way this episode played out, and I'm excited for where they're headed into as far as the new group and what the Saviors are going to be doing, and what we'll see them kind of switch and do in this next episode for sure. But definitely excited for where we're headed. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts were. And I definitely want to know where you guys think Daryl's character is headed after this episode. Like, obviously, he's headed to the hilltop, but there's some specific stuff going on with him, especially with the lie that he told Carol. I don't know what to really expect from that. Like, he's got a very interesting position in the series right now as a character that doesn't exist in the comics, as well as a character that was taken by the Saviors, and the character that has the closest connection to Carol. He's in a very unique position, and instead of staying at the kingdom, like in this episode, to be protected, he's, I guess, mad and upset at himself a little bit for maybe lying to Carol. But I would love to know where you guys think they're going to take his character by the end of this season, because he's in such a crazy position. He's supposed to be in hiding. He doesn't want to be there. He's just, that stubborn character. So, of course, he doesn't want to be there with not only the person he can't tell the truth to, but two other people who are like, we don't really need to fight them. So, it's hard to say where he's headed, but we'll love to know your theories on what you think they're going to do with him by the end of this season. And, of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.